Om Shri Sairam, offering my humble pranams at the divine lotus feet of Mother Sai. I welcome you all to the 29th edition of online Samapan session by Sai Students Mumbai. Today, to share the experiences of Bhagwan, we have Brother Amar Vivek, and it's my privilege to give a brief introduction about him, though everyone knows about him very well. Sri Amar Vivek's parents first got introduced to Swami when Bhagwan visited Moga town in Punjab in the year 1971. Post Bhagwan's visit, it has been a blessed journey for Brother Amar Vivek as he joined Bal Vikas in 1977, followed by becoming a Sevadal member in 1981, and his journey took him to Swami's proximity when Brother Amar became Bhagwan's student in the first batch of MBA in the year 1986. He was also blessed by Bhagwan as he was handpicked by him to be a part of Bhagwan's entourage to Mumbai to play a role in the famous Bhajagovindam drama staged at Shanmugananda Hall in the year 1987. In addition to MBA, Brother Amar Vivek is a lawyer by profession since 1990 and had worked as Additional Advocate General for the state of Haryana at High Court of Punjab and Haryana at Chandigarh between 2014 and 2019. Besides teaching law at various universities for several years, Brother Amar Vivek is presently conducting about 1,500 active cases in Honorable High Court of Punjab and Haryana at Chandigarh and about 50 cases in the Honorable Supreme Court of India, almost in all fields of law. Setting an example, Brother Amar Vivek is also managing and running a multi-dimensional free rural project comprising of model school up to 10th class, providing free education to nearly 475 poor and downtrodden children, a hospital, and a vocational training center called Sri Satya Sai Gramin Jagriti in village Darwa in the district of Yamuna Nagar, Haryana, providing quality education, vocational, and health facilities to villages totally free of cost for more than 28 years. He was awarded National Youth Award for Social Work in Villages by the then Prime Minister of India in the year 1987 and also accompanied President of India to the then USSR in 1988 under study of rural development. I welcome you, Brother Amar Vivek, and please join us for yet another blissful session of online Samapan sessions. Over to you, Brother. Sairam.
Om Shri Sairam. My most revered and prayerful salutations at the lotus feet of our most beloved Bhagwan. Bhagwan, revered elders who are present here, and all it is in this that he has been kind enough to invite me. As we all know, Sai are very purpose. We don't pay that importance to it. Therefore, I must begin from where I thought that Bhagwan's grip over me was Bhagwan says I can never leave you. I remember when in 1977, my Bal Vikas Guru had told me that for being a pastor, I'll stop listening to those songs. This was not a small thing, I would say. See, Bhagwan only sees your heart. He would never see what actually is the end thing because he's most concerned about the bhava that we have. So This was the beginning of that relationship with Bhagwan. And 1981, when he was gracious enough that I joined Sri Satya Sai organization as a Sevadal volunteer, day and night we would work in the seva activities in the villages, slums, and hospitals. I remember that this how Bhagwan strongly builds this relationship, because he wants us to transform. And for that purpose, repeatedly Bhagwan has said that descent of God is for ascent of humanity. It is for our sake that he has come. So he says the only mode of devotion that I prescribe is transformation. Because we need to evolve, we need to transform ourselves on everyday basis. This is the joy that Bhagwan is giving us. That our bhakti, so-called, is not a bhakti, but it is a workout. Because when we say that in Bhagwan's mission, we have joined a workshop where we can chisel ourselves on Bhagwan's mission on everyday basis. I'll be narrating one or two incidents surrounding this. So in 1981, I was very active in the Sevadal activities, and barely 10 days were remaining for my final examination. And I was a little casual about my examination when Bhagwan appeared in my dream and asked me. In fact, I had gone to a teacher who had given me a guesswork that you prepare these 10 questions and you'll be able to attempt the paper. So Bhagwan appeared in my dream and asked me, don't rely on the guesswork. And in dream itself, I reasoned with Bhagwan that Bhagwan, this is the teacher who has set the question paper. Bhagwan smiled at me and said, prepare the entire course. And in dream itself, I appeared in the exam and I got 6 marks out of 100. So next morning when I got up, I realized that it is Bhagwan's call to me. So I reworked everything and I prepared the course as much as I could. And I was shocked when I went to write the examination. Only 15 marks question had appeared out of that guesswork. So this was Bhagwan's way of telling me that when you are on my path, I expect only one thing: perfection and dedication. Because Bhagwan would not like we retire to monasteries and forests, we ignore the duties that are cast upon us. So that is how he is preparing us day in and day out. In 1981, when Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning was to be inaugurated and the building was under construction, we were participating in the seva at Prashanti Seva and carrying boulders on our shoulders on the hilltop. So one evening, I was just standing and praying to Bhagwan that Bhagwan, please give me an opportunity to be a part of this institute. At that time, I did not know that how Bhagwan will suddenly turn the events and make sure that I join the institute. Though it was a long haul thereafter, because after my graduation, in 1984, the final exams were unduly delayed due to disturbance in North India at that time. And I joined law course. But then I got an opportunity that Bhagwan opened MBA. So once I was a student of Bhagwan, there was a longing, there was a craving that Bhagwan would speak to you. But that was not happening. We had started on 21st of August, 1986. So first day, we were blessed to have Bhagwan in our classroom. He walked in. And ever since then, he had regularly been coming and taking our classes almost every Sunday. I could never imagine that there'll be showering of such huge blessings on us. In fact, I remember one very distinct talk of Bhagwan. Once we were in the classroom going to study ZBB, which is a financial management concept of zero-based budgeting. So Bhagwan walked inside the classroom and he said, today I'll be teaching you, and we were very happy. So Bhagwan said, I'll be teaching you ZBB. So we were excited and we were looking at Bhagwan. And Bhagwan said, ZBB means zero-based bhakti. Now, this was a very new thing. So then Bhagwan explained to us in a very fine manner. He said, zero-based budgeting in the normal parlance is that you have 10 rupees in your pocket. You get up in the morning and you look at your liabilities worth 100 rupees and you're confused where to spend this and how to utilize it. So if you look at your past liabilities and then you try to spend 10 rupees, then you will not be able to wisely spend it. So best part is get up in the morning, say that these are the good things I am going to do with this 10 rupees, and you spend 10 rupees accordingly. That is zero-based budgeting. And now zero-based bhakti. He says every day we carry over the hangovers. In fact, once Bhagwan pointed out towards the dustbin and asked us what is written on that. So we said, Bhagwan, it is use me. Bhagwan said, no, it is not use me, it is you see me. You see me. So I am not a moving dustbin. My mind is absolutely empty. Your mind is full of all trash. Do you ever empty your trash from your mind? Or you keep the trash always inside? So then Bhagwan explained, he says every morning when you get up, don't carry the past, that this is what I did to him, this is what he did to me, this is what I could not do, this is what he could not do or she could not do, this is where I failed, this is where I succeeded. Don't think of all that. Just say, Bhagwan, today morning, this is a new life for me. This is a new beginning for me. I will utilize my day in carrying out your work. Please make my work as worship. Please accept me as I am today. So he says, when you get up every morning, when you start afresh, I promise, Bhagwan said, I promise that I'll wash off all your past. You don't have to carry that hangover. If you've done something wrong also, I will make sure that I pardon it. This is precisely, he said. But carry with surrender every morning. When you start afresh every day, that is zero-based budgeting, bhakti. So this is how Bhagwan has been telling us on his path, how simple, but at the same time, how concerned he has been. His message, he wanted us to live on that. And this instance, how he wanted us to be perfect, it was soon to come in my life. So we were 28 boys in our class, first batch MBA, and we had been assigned the task that every morning 14 of us would serve the breakfast in the hostel. So our classes would start at 7:30. So our task was that start the breakfast serving at 6:30 a.m., finish it by 7:15 and rush to the classroom. One fine morning when we got up, we found there was no water in the hostel. So all the boys of the hostel, they lined up on the hilltop, they started fetching water in the buckets. So the breakfast serving was delayed by about 20-25 minutes. We told our other batch of 14 boys that you quickly have the breakfast and rush to the class and inform our dean, who was to have the class that day, that we'll be late by about 15 minutes. So that day we even skipped our breakfast. We rushed to the classroom late by about 15-18 minutes. So fortunately or unfortunately, I was the first one taking off my slippers and entering the classroom. When the dean came, and simply banged the door on my face and said, "You are not allowed. You are late. You missed the class." So I was very, very upset. I was taken aback at this. I didn't expect that I will be given such kind of treatment. But I didn't know that the treatment was meant for a different purpose altogether. By afternoon, we were served show cause notices why you should not be marked absent for 1 week for being late in the morning. Now, suddenly from nowhere, the lawyer inside me woke up, raised its hood, and I started getting all kind of disturbing thoughts. By evening, I had decided that I will quit the university, the hostel, and I'll go back to my town. I had packed my baggage by evening, decided that I will leave. When one of my elder brothers, who was studying with me, came to my place and asked me, "Amar, have you decided to leave?" I said, "Yes, brother." So he took me to the top floor of the hostel. We had a roof, we used to call it D floor, where sometimes we would sleep in the open sky or just sit there for hours together. So he took me there and asked me, "Amar, why did you join Satsang University? I know if you would be back in Chandigarh, you would have joined any of the good colleges or universities to get your MBA degree. Did you join for MBA?" I said, "No, brother, I joined for Bhagwan." He says, "If you joined for Bhagwan, then how come you're leaving? You cannot leave. This Bhagwan is very different. This Bhagwan expects a relationship. You have to build that relationship. If you build this relationship, then only he will bind himself with you. He's Apad Bandhava, but then you have to make that effort. If you don't make that effort, that sincere effort of building a lifelong relationship with him, then what is the purpose of joining this place? There are hundreds who wish to join this place. Why waste their chance? Just think over it." And suddenly I was in tears. I realized very soon the biggest mistake that I was about to commit, the Himalayan blunder that I was going to commit. And I kept on crying for hours together that night and kept on thinking that how would I establish this relationship with Bhagwan? So this is Bhagwan's grace, his will, that he made this happen. He wanted me to change. This is the change Bhagwan wants us to bring in our day-to-day lives. So that night, Bhagwan gave me this belief that I have come here only for Bhagwan's sake. And that relationship I must build strongly and make sure that there is nothing in between. And next day itself, probably that was 18 September 1986, in the morning in the college assembly hall, there was some talk. And soon thereafter, we were invited for special darshans in the morning. So when I reached Mandir, some boys told me that Bhagwan is looking for you. Bhagwan was repeatedly asking my name. And I suddenly kneeled on my knees, and as Bhagwan came, he asked me, "What's your name?" I said, "Bhagwan, Amar Vivek." He looked into my eyes and said, "Hamara Vivek?" These were the first words which Bhagwan had uttered physically to me. If you are good, you are Hamara Vivek. If you are bad, then I hammer Vivek. This was the Veda for me. This was the message for me. That if I am good, I will be Hamara Vivek. That is Bhagwan's Vivek. See, this is how Bhagwan is slowly holding us, but holding us tightly. And that grip which Bhagwan has tightened, it will never be loosened for births together. So this is the whole purpose which I have been thinking that Bhagwan has graciously conferred. Because if I say that I make the effort to be near and dear to God, that will be futile. Because that kind of effort probably only Mirabai could do, Surdas could do. But in today's time, all I need to do, as I have understood, is that make sure that we transform our lives and transform our lives and make sure that we don't do anything bad, anything wrong, so that we are on the path of Sai and we remain tied to Bhagwan. Now, since Bhagwan had given me this new identity, he was looking all the time not merely at what I used to do, but he would make sure that even mentally, from inside, I got connected to him. Because Bhagwan's connection is so strong that he would like us every day to grow more and more. I remember that I used to write every day a letter to Bhagwan. Every evening I would get some kind of indication from Bhagwan. He would either look at me or talk to me or confirm to me about the contents of that letter. But more than that, one day, this is how Bhagwan used to, behave very human with us. So he came and asked me, he said, have you ever looked at your handwriting? I said, Bhagwan, I didn't look at. He says, when you write, don't you look at your handwriting? It's so pathetic. It took me 10 minutes to read your letter. I have thousands of letters every day. Why don't you improve your handwriting? And then Bhagwan took the pen and paper and asked me how to write. The word formation. See, this is how, what Bhagwan wants us is that every day the simple things we do, we should do with perfection. So he would not give up. He would make sure that every smallest of the thing which we do it with commitment and dedication. This is what I am trying to drive. So this was the time for me to change my handwriting style. But I did not know that there were many other styles which I required to be changed in my life. He would make sure that when we are in the classroom, we are totally committed to the academics. When we are in the hostel, we are committed to the interpersonal relationship, behavior, conduct, discipline, manners. For Bhagwan, bhakti was how every day some or the other change we would bring in our lives. Now, it was the annual sports meet time. In 2-3 months, we were to have the sports meet, and we were too much focused on the studies because as MBA student, we had lot many courses. So I did not know that it was absolutely essential to participate in the sports meet also. So my physical education teacher walked up to me one day and asked me, he says, brother, what are you doing for the sports meet? I said, sir, I am part of that Dharma group of cricket. He says, but you are a 12th man. I said, so is it not enough? He says, no, that's not enough. Make sure that you do some event in which you are able to get prize from Bhagwan. Even if your group wins, your captain will go and bring the prize. do something. So I said, sir, what should I do? He said, I will tell you some event in which 100% you will get prize from Bhagwan directly. I said, sir, tell me, I will do it. He says, you run a 10,000 meter race. I said, sir, 10,000 put together in my life, I did not run till today. How do you think that in next 2 months, I'll be able to prepare myself? He says, come to the stadium at 4 a.m. tomorrow. I'll be there to guide you. So next morning, I walked up to the stadium and I saw my teacher looking at his watch and said, brother, you have come 7 minutes late today. I have to come from the teacher's apartment, which is quite far from here. You have to come from 150 meters. Please come on time every day. Now look at this ground. This is 600 meters. You just have to run 25 rounds and you'll be able to complete 10,000. And he made me start. First day, probably I ran 1.5 rounds only. The day I completed 25 rounds, it had taken 2 hours 44 minutes to me. Continuous running. So my teacher was very excited. He came and told me that to win the prize, all you have to do is complete this race in 44 minutes. I said, sir, I hope you are not joking. 2 hours 44 minutes, you want me to convert it to 44 minutes? And what he whispered to me, that is the most significant thing which I relished. He says, brother, you are completing a race to reach to Swami. You're not running a race. Just look at Swami. You want something from Swami. That's all. So run thinking you're running for Bhagwan. And then you will find the bliss and you will find the joy. So probably the first leg, completing 25 rounds, had taken me about 1 month. The next 1 month was remaining, but my teacher would not give up. And he made sure that I was able to complete it in 44 minutes. He was sure that I'll be able to do it. And I got the prize from Bhagwan's hands. And when I reached Bhagwan, my hands were trembling. I did not know that I will be able to get prize from him. Bhagwan looked at my eyes,
It's 19.
directly in my eyes, and said, do you know what is most important? And as I was extending my palms towards him, he smiled at me. Sai award is the most important thing. Do you have Sai with you? So I offered my pranams and returned back. But I always try to remember those words. Do I have Sai with me? Every day I am running life's race. Every day I am running after things. But for what? Reaching where? Am I trying to reach Bhagwan? Am I trying to even imagine that Bhagwan is with me? It so happened that one day I was driving my car. I thought I was all alone. And suddenly I started singing bhajans. And I started imagining that Bhagwan was with me. But I was naive enough when I asked myself, I said, Bhagwan, if you are with me, why can't I see you? And suddenly a car passed by my side and I saw a sticker of Bhagwan behind the windscreen. I said, Bhagwan, even my car is having sticker of Bhagwan. That's not enough. Because in our day-to-day life, this is how we will behave. We'll try to test him more and more without realizing that it is we who need to test ourselves. So suddenly I looked in the sky and I saw a rainbow. And then I told myself, I said, Bhagwan, I'm not asking questions. Sorry. You are with me always. It is you who is prompting me to ask me that you are with me. So the whole purpose of being connected to Bhagwan is to remain connected with him. And for that purpose, whatever aberrations try to come on that connection, we need to erase them. This is how Bhagwan is nurturing us. This is how Bhagwan is always keeping us in his heart, I would say. And for that, once we went to Kodai with Bhagwan, and every day Bhagwan will just demonstrate how do we do simple things in life. So food was laid on the table in front of us. On table, Bhagwan was sitting, and we all offered Brahmarpanam. Then we looked at Swami that he would start the food. But that day, Bhagwan started looking here and there and made a motion towards us that you start. So we all said, no, Bhagwan, first you must start. Then Bhagwan said, today you did not offer food to me. So we said, Bhagwan, we offered. He said, how? We said, Bhagwan, just now we recited Brahma Arpanam. So then Bhagwan said, no, when you were reciting Brahma Arpanam, you were reciting at such a rapid pace, Brahma Arpanam, like that. But you were not interested in offering the food to me. You were only interested that the moment you finish Brahma Arpanam, you will be able to come and attack these dishes which are lying in front of you. So then Bhagwan said, see, it's very simple. When you are having food in front of you, why don't you imagine while offering Brahma Arpanam that you are feeding me and I am feeding you? And this you do in every activity. The time you are driving, the time you are attending people, the time you are doing something like I am practicing law. He says, why don't you imagine that I am there all the time with you? And I can tell you, this actually changes the complete complexion of the activity. I have seen when arguing a case, if I make sure that it is Amar Vivek who is dominating in me, I'll not get the relief. But the moment I will remember him and I will say, Bhagwan, please take over, he will take over. I don't think that Bhagwan's message or words are difficult to be practiced in day-to-day lives. Only thing is we don't focus on them. I do recall that once I had, in the institute, there were vacations for 6, 7, 8 days during the month of October. And I was gifted by an elderly devotee a book on Shirdi Baba's life, Sai Satcharitra, and he asked me to read it in 7 days. So 7th day came and I finished reading it in the morning. That day our colleges had reopened. So after finishing it, I was thinking that I would be able to distribute some prasadam. There should be some sweet thing which I should be able to distribute. That was Thursday. And I suddenly remembered that in the hostel dining hall, prasadam would be, paisam would be served. So I would rush from the college during the afternoon break and catch hold of this paisam tub, and I would serve paisam to everybody. So this was my plan. And when I reached the dining hall, I was about to go inside the mess. I saw the teacher in charge standing there, looking at me and asking me, Amar, are you free for some time? So I was thinking that now my plan is going to be disturbed. But then I said, sir, yes, sir, please tell me, I am free. He took me inside and told me that Bhagwan has sent sweets. I wanted some senior boy to distribute them. Would you have time to distribute them? And I was looking at the sweets and looking at the teacher and thinking that whatever I am thinking, whatever I am asking, Bhagwan is listening and fulfilling. How is it? This is the most sweetest thing, that we just have to think and he grants. But do we think with the faith? That is the question. That's the question that we need to ask ourselves. That do we have that belief that he is with us, and whatever we are asking, he is granting us. It is he who is granting us. So the time had come when we were to pass out that from Satsang University. As Bhagwan called us on the last day, he held my hands in his hands and asked me that in this place, you got so much of love from me. You got such wonderful education. What will you give me in return? I had virtually been frozen at those words. I looked into Bhagwan's eyes and I said, Bhagwan, whatever you say. He held my hands tighter and asked me, promise? I said, yes, Bhagwan, whatever you say. Bhagwan said, don't bring bad name to me. While you work outside, don't bring bad name to me. This is all I want from you in return. Those majestic words, those powerful words, they echo always inside me. Bhagwan said, when you put vibhuti on your forehead, don't think that you're merely putting vibhuti. You're wearing me. People are looking at you, treating you as a Sai student all the time. You are a Sai devotee for the life, for the whole life. It is not that only on certain events or certain occasions that you are Sai devotee. So you are Sai sadhaka all the time. Therefore, make sure that you don't commit any mistakes, because all the time I'm looking at you. This is how Avatar has established such wonderful institutions. And in return, what he's asking? He's asking, don't bring bad name to me. This is all he's asking in return. So, cannot we pay this much heed to his words? This is what I need to ask myself every time. And then I prayed to Bhagwan. I said, Bhagwan, I want to set up a hospital, school and a vocational school free of cost in a village. So he again tells me, full of love, he said that I will do for you what you will do for me. Go and set up your law practice. And then he gave me a new meaning of word LLB. LLB means live and love Baba. If you live on my words, you love me. If you don't live on my words, you don't love me. You may say 1,000 times, Baba, I love you. But unless you live on my words, you don't love me. So it was Bhagwan's command that I came and joined legal profession. I started working on it. But Bhagwan kept his promise with me when he had said that I will set up that hospital, school and vocational school for you. We were soon to get ourselves organized, some 3-4 people. We started working on the outlines. Thereafter, we reached Prashanti Nilayam, told Bhagwan that this is how we intend to work. At that time, we had drew up a project report on which name was written as Jagriti. Bhagwan named it as Sri Satyasai Gramin Jagriti and said, I'm always with you. I opened the first page where there was an index containing the requirement of land. And I showed it to Bhagwan that Bhagwan, we need 27 acres land for this project. Bhagwan patted on my back and said, you don't need land. You need my hand. My hand is always with you. Go, work. I'm always there with you. The words of Bhagwan are not merely an assurance. The words of Bhagwan are Bhagwan himself living with us. That night I boarded the train, Karnataka Express, to come back to Chandigarh. In the compartment, I saw some gentlemen and I went and sat with them. Incidentally, they were also from Parthi. They were there in the darshans that evening. And they started asking me that, brother, during darshan time, we saw Swami coming to you and you were showing some papers. What is this about? And then we started the discussion that this is how a rural project would be established. So those gentlemen told me that, sir, we are from Yamunanagar town in Haryana. Why don't you come to Yamunanagar? We will show you a piece of land there. In my innocence, I tell them that, sir, Yamunanagar is 110 kilometers from Chandigarh. How will I come and work there? And they said that just now you said Bhagwan's hand is going to do everything and not you. And I immediately remembered, yes, sir, it is Bhagwan's hand that's going to do everything. So after a couple of days, I reached Yamunanagar. We went to this village. We met the headman, the sarpanch there. We explained him the purpose that we want to set up a free hospital school and vocational school there. And the sarpanch said that we have 27 acres land. We are ready to gift it to you. The same number as was written on that project report. So it was quite a stunning thing for me. And I said, sir, I am ready to go to Bhagwan and seek his blessings. He said, wait a minute, I'll pass the resolution just now. We'll have a meeting. We'll give you the resolution. You go and take it to Bhagwan. So we all sat there. In an hour's time, they prepared the resolution and gave it to us. And as they gave the resolution to us, I saw for the first time the name of the village as Dadwa. So I asked this gentleman, I said, sir, what is the meaning of this word Dadwa? So he explained to me, and this was now my turn to realize that how Bhagwan was working. He says, Darad in Hindi means snake hole. So we had too many snake holes here, and from snake holes, this place acquired its name as Dadwa. The same meaning as we know, word Puttaparthi has in Telugu, land of snake holes. So I knew by now that it is Bhagwan who was working. Bhagwan's hand which was working. I only needed to have belief. So realizing and remembering those words, I took that copy of resolution, went to Bhagwan in Parthi. As I was sitting with that resolution, Bhagwan was coming towards me. Another frivolous thought in the monkey mind suddenly erupted from nowhere, that I should have translated this resolution. It was in Hindi, to make it read to Bhagwan. And Bhagwan came and asked that resolution from me and pointed towards the date, 17th July. Do you remember this date? I was taken aback. I said, no, Swami. He says, this was Guru Purnima day. do you know the significance of Guru Purnima? And he answered, Guru Purnima means I take a vow that so long as your wish for seva and sadhana will not be fulfilled, sun will not set. So I am there for you and I'll take care of it. And again, in my innocence, I asked Bhagwan, Bhagwan, shall we construct a boundary wall around this land? And Bhagwan mocked at me. He says, this project is not going to have boundaries and buildings. This is going to have boundless love and boundless seva. Your duty is to do seva. Your duty is to spread Bhagwan's love. Your duty is not to construct buildings. They'll come off their own. But all you have to do, just do seva. Your seva and sadhana is most important for me. I can tell you with conviction that these are the modern Vedas. Vedas we may have read, we may not have understood. We must have thought that these are very complex. But Sai Veda is very simple. Sai Veda is that what we do in everyday life needs to be sanctified. I remember once Bhagwan asked me that when you are outside, are you good? And I looked at Bhagwan and I said, Bhagwan, you are my watchman. You know how am I outside? And Bhagwan smiled and said, I am not only watchman, I am catchman also. I catch you. And when Bhagwan said this, I remembered one incident. It so happened that when we got this gift of land, the government was to prove it. So the topmost functionary of the government, I went to see him and pleaded with him that, sir, you prove the gift so that we can start the work there. So that was probably the year 1989. I was barely 24 years of age. So this gentleman looked at me quizzingly and said, have you seen your face in the mirror? Do you have a bank account? How much money you have in your bank? What are your credentials? How can I give you the approval of this project? And he shouted at me and virtually turned me out. I prayed to Swami. I said, Swami, please take over. And I just asked him innocently. I said, sir, may I ask you something? He said, yes, what is it? I said, sir, the biggest organization, the most powerful organization, the most resourceful organization in the country is the government. But that being so, in 40-kilometer radius of this site, there is no school, there is no hospital. So we are an NGO, we are an extended arm of the government. So we wanted to do something. You every day say that people get educated from the universities and get lost in the trivialities of the world. But here I am an educated youth. I am also a practicing lawyer. I am pleading with you that I want to do some genuine work in village. And you are saying, what are your credentials? How will I build my credentials in one day's time? Why don't you allow me to work? I don't want the ownership of this land. You allow me to work, allow me to do this work, and I'm sure things will come up. If they don't come up to your standard, you can always revoke it. Later on, I realized that these were not my words. This was Bhagwan who had taken over from me. So I can assure you, it is we who are blocking Bhagwan. The moment we allow Bhagwan to take over in our lives, we will see him manifesting. We all say that his unseen hand is there. It's wrong. We see his hand. Only thing is we refuse to see sometimes. So here in his love, in his benediction, Bhagwan has given us the gift of himself. The Sri Sathya Sai Seva organization, the way Bhagwan has lent his name to this wonderful organization, giving us a chance, giving us an opportunity to work there. This is not a small thing. When we work here and bring those small changes every day in our lives, that is how we can say that we are indeed gracious. His grace is taking over. I can't forget mentioning a very small incident which conveyed a lot of message for us. That we were going to Kodaikanal and Bhagwan got down from his car and shifted himself to the bus in which we were sitting. And as we were all clustering around Bhagwan, suddenly Bhagwan pointed towards the road and said, look there, what you see? And when we looked towards the road, we saw files of people on both sides of the road. They were all offering pranams, thinking that Bhagwan is inside the car. So Bhagwan said, see what is happening. So we were wondering that people are paying their respect to Bhagwan's car. So Bhagwan said, did you get it? We said, no, Bhagwan. People are offering their respect to the car. He says, no. This car is always with me. So one who is always with Bhagwan gets respect. So this car is taking away my pranams. Now exactly Bhagwan narrated this. So this car is taking away my pranams. And I am in your company. Because I am in bad company, my pranams are going to my car. And then Bhagwan explained to us ABC of life. Avoid bad company. So Bhagwan says, car is in my company. It is getting my pranams. Now it is up to us. Are we in Bhagwan's company? Or we are in that company which Bhagwan wants us to avoid? Because if we have to be in Bhagwan's company, then only we will be able to earn that respect. The moment we are known Swami students, Swami's devotees, we evoke that respect. We evoke that confidence amongst others that we will not be wrong. How much burden we have on us. It's very simple. But yes, we need to practice it. So we have to think all the time that we are in Bhagwan's company. And he will do the rest. He will make sure that once we are in his company, automatically our lives are sanctified. So this is how Bhagwan is every day bringing such beautiful messages to our lives. Once we are in Sri Sathya Sai organization or the students of Sri Sathya Sai, this is not a small gift that we are carrying. The same gift which Bhagwan bestowed upon Vanaras, the same gift which Bhagwan bestowed on Gopikas. Do we ever think that Bhagwan has bestowed the same gift on us? Have we ever thought over this? This is the way that we are able to reach him. This is the way that we are able to say with confidence that Bhagwan is with us. But it is for us also to live on to that message, to live on to those words. I can very candidly share with you some of the things which have happened to me in my professional career. I can tell you with confidence that for 30 years I have been practicing law. And a time has come in my life when people know for sure that those who work on righteous path, they cannot lose. A few years ago, a lady had come to me who had lost her husband and son in a tragic road accident. She was being harassed by her own sister-in-law because one house they had, and her sister-in-law was claiming that house. So she brought some blank signed sheets of her husband and father-in-law, and she wanted me to prepare a will in her favor on those blank sheets. The way she explained her problem to me, it sent thoughts in my mind that should I do this? Though in plain language of law, this will be forgery, this will be cheating. Should I do it? Now, all the time this thought was going on, and as she went away, leaving those sheets with me, I did not know how to respond to it. Whole night I kept on thinking. Next morning, I prayed to Bhagwan that Bhagwan, please tell me what should I do. And the immediate thought was that you are not supposed to do anything wrong. So next morning I called her and very humbly told her, I said, sorry ma'am, I will not be able to help you. Please take these papers and I cannot make use of these. So she tells me, sir, don't worry. You fight the case the way you like to fight it. And I agree to whatever you say. I said, in that event, I'll take these papers as such. I'll lay them before the court. And I'll tell the court that my client had these blank sheets, but she never misused them. And with that confidence, I fought the case. And I can tell you that the other side also probably had the blank sheets, which they misused. And they created a fabricated will. And the day I was to cross-examine the other side's witness, when I went inside the court with prayers to Bhagwan, that witness came and told me outside the court, he said, sir, as a matter of fact, I know that you are representing this lady and you will never deviate from truth. Therefore, I also must tell you the truth, that when we signed this will, this lady was already dead, and we took her thumb impressions on this will after her death. So I asked him, sir, if you are so nice, why don't you tell this in the court? And he said, yes, I'm willing to tell. So he went and narrated this inside the court graphically, the same sequence. And I was looking at the judge because I did not require to cross-examine that witness. He had himself stated the truth. This is simply Bhagwan taking over our lives, because we know that whatever we do, it is He who will take over. And this promise He is living up to even till today and all the time in whatever we do. So all we need to do is to have this belief in us that Bhagwan is going to do this. I remember when Bhagwan told us that You will not charge anything in this project. It will be totally free. You'll not ask for donations from anyone. They'll come to you unasked. That was probably 32 years back. But for last 30 years, when we are working in this project, we know this for sure, that it is Bhagwan who is going to do everything. Then why are we worried? Because it is his work. It is not our work. Though sometimes it brings us in the limelight and we wrongly assume that we are working, but it is Bhagwan who is doing it. Where is the scope of doubt? And so many times it has happened. And I can narrate nth number of instances just to demonstrate that how grace is taking over our lives every day. But we are not seeing it. It so happened that it's very cold in December and January months here in North India. So our principal once told us that we need to give shoes to our children. They were mostly coming barefoot. So our secretary, who's a doctor, he told this lady, he says, why don't you take the measurements of all the children on a piece of paper in the next day assembly and write down their measurements and give it to us so that we can order the probable number of sizes. So this was probably 8 a.m. that day. At 11 a.m., she receives 2 visitors on a scooter. They were carrying a big box. And they said, ma'am, we have brought shoes. So she was very happy and she said, let's line up all the children. But she said, me and my teachers, we did not realize that students were coming, taking away the shoes, but they never came back with the complaint of measurement being short or big. They were all very happy with the shoes. And once they had distributed about 470 odd pairs, they said, ma'am, we have some more pairs with us. What do we do with these extra pairs? So she says, just 200 meters away, there is a village. Why don't you go to the village? You'll find some more children there. And those 2 gentlemen were telling, we don't know the place. We don't know how to reach the village. Will we be lost there? Can you guide us the way? And this lady says, I am in my innocence explaining to them that, sir, you go this way, and this is how they went away. And when at 2 o'clock, she goes and informs the secretary, so thank you very much for the shoes. He says, once you give me the measurement, then only I will order those shoes. She says, but the shoes have already arrived. So all we need to do is just to gather this belief, just to have this conviction that Bhagwan is there with us for all the time. He's not going to leave us. But how many of us are able to carry this conviction in our day-to-day lives? That is one of the most important things. I can share with you some of the very personal things, because this is one Sai family where we all know that we have only one single identity, and that identity is Sai. Therefore, there is no one who is either big enough or small. We are all equal in Bhagwan's name and faith. About in the year 2014, I earnestly wanted to serve the government on the post of Additional Advocate General. I prayed to Bhagwan and simply wrote a registered letter to the Prime Minister stating that, sir, this is my profile and my credentials. And this landed me to that job for which there is lobbying for which there is a lot of linkage required, a lot of connections required, which I did not have. I had only one connection, that is connection of Bhagavan. I can say with certainty that while on Bhagavan's path, doing seva, which I am not doing, which he is doing, professionally also he has made sure that I am able to get everything or something more, which people of my age will not be able to get. So this is not a simple thing that I keep on doing something and he will do nothing for me. This is his promise to us, that all we need to do is do his work with the conviction that he is with us and he is bound to fulfill all those things which we require in lives. That is why he declared in the beginning that I am not training you to renunciate. I don't want you to retire. I just want to tell you that in everyday's life, if you practice simple things, be normal human beings, that is how you will be able to achieve me. You will be able to reach me. So, are we not doing even this in our lives? This is the question that we need to ask ourselves. How do we do ordinary things? So this is the sole question that stares us. Once Bhagavan told us that I am standing at the door of your hearts. I am there standing all the time. You're not opening the door. You're not letting me in. Allow me to come in. I am knocking at your door. We keep singing songs that Bhagavan, I am looking for you. But we don't look for him. We keep singing songs that Bhagavan, I am searching you. Actually, we don't search him. We need to make sure that we are able to see him right next to us. Because once he has given us the promise that he is there with us all the time, we just need to believe that he is there. And he has promised us the road of seva. I'm sure there would be many who have achieved him through bhakti, through jnana. But yes, road of seva which he has given us will make sure that we are able to reach him. So, to be near and dear to Lord and to make sure that we are his, all we need to do is to sanctify our lives by doing everyday's simple things in an extraordinary manner, to make sure that we don't give up dharma, we don't give up righteousness. And in fact, Bhagavan has said that Satya and Dharma should be our two eyes. Once he demonstrated to us that he picked up two sticks and showed us, do you know the meaning of these two sticks? He says this is morality and discipline. If morality and discipline is part of your lives, then you don't need anything else. Today, when I look back at those 30 years, I'm able to see Bhagwan's grace manifesting. When I go to this village where Bhagwan's institutions are set up, I can't believe that at one point of time, there was nothing here. Because Bhagwan is there all the time. Once he has taken over our lives, then nothing else remains. So, my very sincere prayers for all of us are always that Bhagwan, we just need to believe that you are there with us. We just need to believe that you have taken over our lives. We, on our part, need to make sure that we will transform ourselves and we will not even swerve an inch away from righteousness and morality. And that is how we will become near and dear to Sai. Thank you, Sai Ram.
Saram, brother, that was a wonderful and blissful session we had, and it had given us a lot of insights from that talk you gave, like how Swami had prepared you for the perfection and dedication in life, starting from zero-based budgeting, equaling it to zero-based bhakti, where you have to don't need to carry the past and then accept everything as a fresh and start the day with the surrender. Moving on to how he had made you to get connected and grow the relationship through Hamara Vivek if you are good and Hammer Vivek if you are bad. That was a wonderful connection which you had got in the beginning, and how it has helped you to build the relationship. And with the idea of focusing on Bhagwan and doing everything for Bhagwan had made you to achieve an immense feat of completing 10,000 meters in 44 minutes, which is really remarkable, and that gives a clear indication like how we have to um, I mean, keep the focus on Bhagwan. That simply puts it, being connected is to remain get connected. So that was a very wonderful message which had Bhagwan taught you, and through you we had learned today. And in all the activities, by imagining that Swami is present, which had changed the whole complexion of the activity and how things are able to get flow by the grace of Bhagwan. It's just really wonderful. We just have to think with faith that Swami is with us and he grants everything. And the remarkable thing what you had mentioned is like wearing the vibhuti is like indicating the world that we are Sai devotee and we should make sure that we don't commit any mistakes. That was a really, what to say, a new way of thinking that we are representing Bhagwan. Like wearing vibhuti is like wearing, it's a badge of being a Sai devotee, and making you understand that LLB, the different meaning of LLB, live and love Baba. That's amazing. Like if you plan to live to the message of God, it's Swami. It's nothing but we are loving Swami, and once we love Swami, His grace will keep flowing. And the words of Bhagwan are the guiding hands. It is evident from the land incident that the availability of land in the Yamuna Nagar. And Swami saying himself that all you have to do is seva. And seva and sadhana are the most important thing for Swami. When Swami becomes a focus and we are allowing him to take over, which is like Swami mentioning you, he is the watchman and the catchman. That's a really different perspective of life, what Swami had indicated. So the basic takeaway of the whole speech, what you had given is the message of Swami communicating us. If we keep everything as a focus of Bhagwan, then Swami will take over. And it is very evident through the present day scenario where you had win the cases with the help of Bhagwan, following the path of morality and then dharma. And also, not only that, he helps in seva, but he also takes over and then ensures that you are also achieving professionally everything in the day to day. That's really wonderful. So, if morality and discipline are part of the life, then Bhagwan's grace will manifest. It's a crux. That's really wonderful, and we had a very blissful session. It was all very thought provoking. The way you had structured it was like communicating Swami's message. It's really wonderful, and thank you very much for being with us and spending the evening. It was really wonderful, and we have a few questions.
Yeah.
Like, can you please explain some experiences after Swami's Maha Samadhi?
Yes, Saira. I can even tell you that Maha Samadhi is a concept which we don't understand. We only understand a concept Sannidhi. We say it is Sai Sannidhi. At one point of time, he was in Puttaparthi. Now he is there always with us. In our school, we had built up a very beautiful basketball court. It is of world standard. I think we can show some picture of the school building and the basketball court, if it can be shown. This is the mandir of this school, and this is our hall, and this is the school building. And I will show you the basketball court which has been constructed there for the village children. It is a very beautiful state-of-art basketball court. There, this is the place. So it had costed us quite a bit. And one early morning, I was sitting in my office, and I got the picture of this basketball court on my email from the secretary, which had when it was just ready. And when I opened that picture in my office, I saw the beautiful court, and some gentlemen were sitting in my presence. They asked me, "Sir, what is this?" I said, "Sir, this is a village project which we are carrying on, and Bhagwan is, taking care of it. And we've just created a basketball court for the children." They took the address of this place from me. Next morning, they visited the place, and they asked our secretary, "Sir, how much is the cost of this basketball court?" And they said, "Sir, it was 11 lakhs. They themselves issued the check there and then. And later on, I came to know about it. Now, what I want to tell you, that in books it must be written, in scriptures it must be written, that avatars, they manifest, and avatars, they give up their human form. But in practice, in reality, Sai has not given us up. He has owned us. And once he has owned us, he has also given us a vehicle, Sri Satya Sai organization, Seva organization. I'm sure each one of us who has been working in Bhagwan's work, carrying out Bhagwan's work in some or the other manner, I won't say Bhagwan's work, it is our work in fact, we have experienced it. And he will make sure that he will show his presence to us, one way or the other. All of us have incidents and stories to narrate. So he has not gone anywhere. Yes, he has come closer to us. So I call it Sai Sannidhi. I don't call it Sai Samadhi. Saira.
Yeah, that's the right way of putting the things. It's not Sai Sannidhi, it's not Sai Samadhi, it's Sai Sannidhi. Brother, at this point in time, it really came to my mind that It's one of the greatest miracle like we have now is like on the day of your birthday, you are addressing and talking about Swami. That itself is a real miracle. And on behalf of everyone, I wish you a very happy birthday.
Thank you very
There
much. This is
is,
the grace of Swami that
yeah.
I'm able to.
Okay. Another question we have from the devotees is like, what we must practice to ensure we remain connected to Swami always.
Well, discipline and morality are the two principles Bhagwan told us. He
Okay.
said that this is most important. You remain in discipline and you follow morality in day-to-day lives. And rest, you don't need to do anything. Because that is bhakti. That is everything. That is the essence of everything. So I think beyond that, I think there is nothing else if we follow
Yeah.
discipline and morality.
Yeah, and as you had also mentioned that being connected is remaining in connection with Bhagwan. That's really wonderful. And given that lawyer's life is at 24 by 7, how do you create time to do village seva so very well?
Well, we have, you know, I didn't answer this question myself, but one of the brothers, the other day we were interacting on Seva. So he answered it for me, so I will narrate that answer. See, we have to believe one thing that we are doing part time profession, full time Seva. We are not doing part time Seva and full time work. So we should enjoy the sweetness. Suppose we are shown a smaller piece of Mysore Pak as our profession and a larger piece of Mysore Pak as Seva. What we will opt? Obviously, a larger piece of Mysore Pak. So that is why I believe that actually we cannot segregate Seva from our lives. So once we believe that, yes, we are doing his work and he's taking care of, he will automatically find time. I can tell you with certainty, 23rd November last year, 2019, was a very big day, annual day function going on in village Darwa, which we have to organize, we have to run around, do things. And 23rd night, I was to travel to Mumbai, Dharamkshetra last year. So I knew that he is going to organize everything. So we all need to just leave it to him. I don't say that let's do something extra. Just leave it to him. And once we leave it to him, pray to him, he takes over. Many times there have been events when I have a court hearing and then there is something or the other cropping up. So I just pray to him. I said, Bhagwan, I can't be present physically at two places. You have to manage it. And he'll make sure that things will happen. So let's not ask this question. Let's believe it that we need to pray and he will take over. Silent.
That's wonderful. And there is a question like, especially if a devotee who had come to know Swami only after Swami's Maha Sannidhi, in that era, how do we build relationship with Swami, especially when there is, I mean, we don't get connected physically. How do we try to establish if you're coming after the Maha Sannidhi period?
See, I will answer this question to current generation. I am not answering this question to the next generation because current generation is the contemporary of Bhagwan. So we are the contemporaries of Avatar. In our lifetimes, Avatar walked on 2 feet on this Mother Earth. We are so fortunate that we are in that era where Bhagwan has walked. This is one. In Vedas, it is written, I am told, that darshanam, sparshanam, sambhashanam. These are the 3 qualities of Avatar. So, darshanam, sparshanam, sambhashanam, if we have missed, sangathanam, we are not missing. We have Satyasai Seva Sangathan right in front of us. So I can assure everyone that those of us who are working in Satyasai Seva Sangathan, we can never say that we have not known Bhagwan. We never say that we have known Bhagwan, after 24th April 2011. No, that's mathematics. Let's be realistic. He is with us in the form of Sri Satya Sai Seva Sangathan, and he always will be with us. Sai.
Yeah, that's a very perfect answer for everyone who came after Mahasanidhi. Brother, and that was a very wonderful and blissful session, and we have, I mean, for the want of time, I'm cutting short. So we will try to conclude this session through Swami's message and a video, and then we conclude this session.
స్వామి యొక్క తత్వము,
Swami's nature,
నా యొక్క పవిత్రత ఎవ్వరు కూడా అనుభవించలేరు, తెలుసుకోలేరు.
Bhagavan's divinity and the sanctity,
దానికి
nobody
నేను
can
ఒక
know
చెప్పాను.
in full.
ఫస్ట్ క్రిస్మస్ ఇక్కడ జరిగినప్పుడు నేను ఒక చిన్న పాట పాడినాను.
On the day of the first Christmas celebration here, Swami sang a song
20 years back.
20 years back.
Love is my form, truth is my breath, bliss is my food. My life is my message, expansion is my life. My life is my message, expansion is my life. No season for love, no reason for love, no birth, no death.
No reason for love, no season for love, no birth, no death.
Love is my form, truth is my breath, bliss is my food.
Love is my home, truth is my breath, bliss is my food.
సాయిబాబా సమాచారం మీరు ఎక్కడైనా చెప్పాలనుకుంటే ఈ పాటతో మీరు ముగించండి, ఎంతైనా వాళ్ళు అర్థం చేసుకోగలరు.
Sai message can be conveyed like this. By singing this song, they can understand.
లవ్ ఈజ్ హిస్ బామ్.
Love is his form.
అందుకోసం నేను చెప్తా, మై లైఫ్ ఈజ్ మై మెసేజ్.
So Bhagavan says, my life is my message.
కనుక మీరందరూ కూడాను ప్రపంచంలో అందరితో కూడాను సోదరత్వాన్ని పెంచుకొని,
Develop the feelings of fraternity.
బ్రదర్హుడ్ ఆఫ్ మ్యాన్, ఫాదర్హుడ్ ఆఫ్ గాడ్, ఈ రెండింటిని మీరు దృఢం చేసుకోండి.
The brotherhood of man and fatherhood of God. Strengthen these two ideas.
With that wonderful and blissful session, we conclude through Samasta Loka Swakhina Bhavantu 3 times and Om Shanti. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Jai Bolo Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba Ji ki Jai. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.